Hello and welcome to this introduction into HauteSpot Network's HiveMINDER Mesh VMS system. HiveMINDER is a very flexible VMS system. It's designed to run on a variety of different platforms as either a server, a client, or a relay port. In this case, I am running on a Windows computer, and I'm going to go ahead and open up HiveMINDER right now. I'm going to pick the Windows 64 build, open it up. And at this point, I'm opening up the client side of HiveMINDER. HiveMINDER's application is built into two parts. There is the server side and the client side. It always opens up and the user interface is the client side. And here I'm just going to specify where the server is that I'm going to connect to. In this case, it's going to be the local host. So I'm going to put in local host, which is the loopback address to attach to the server running on my computer. As soon as I click check, it's going to go ahead and try to connect to the local host address, and you're going to say the server's not running. Is it okay to launch the server application right now on my computer? Yes, and I'm going to click the checkbox, and now it's launching the server side. As soon as the server starts running, the first thing it does is it starts searching for cameras. And you can see down here it's searching for IP cameras on the network. It'll find any OnVIF available cameras. It already discovered my USB webcam, which is attached to my laptop, and it's brought the camera up to the front. You can see down in the lower right there's a little question mark. I can click on that. Gives me some clues as to what the menu options are. So here I have menu, add a camera, configure the camera, play, and change the viewing mode or the layout. I can also click to change the camera. I can drag to change the camera order around within the screen once they're laid out. And I can also install the program. What I've just done by launching the application, launching the executable, is just that. I've run it as a portable application. I didn't actually install it to the computer. It didn't create any registry entries. It didn't create any directories. It didn't do any start menu items. All it did was run the application, and so I'm running as a portable application. I'm running right now in trial mode, which you can see up here. Trial mode will run the server for 4 hours. At the end of 4 hours, it will reset the system, and you'll have to reconfigure it once again. This is so that you can play with the system, look at the configuration features and options, and decide if HiveMINDER is right for you. All right. First thing you're going to want to do is install the application. And install basically means create those program groups, create a service for the system to run on, and install the client with a shortcut to the desktop. So we're going to go ahead and do that. It's very straightforward. I go down to my menu, I say install, say install again, and I can tell it here, do I want to auto run this HiveMINDER as a service? On a Windows computer, a Macintosh or Linux, it'll go ahead and configure the system to auto run at start if that box is checked. Otherwise, the server will only run at the time that the client is launched. So I can have it only launch when the client's running. It can also say at boot time, do I want to auto run the client, yes or no? So here I'm going to start the client and I'm going to start the server. And what that'll do is open up this GUI that we have running right here. Gives me the password. So if I have remote users that want to connect, here's the password that's defaulted. And it will tell me, do I want to use the password for local host access? So if I'm going to be accessing the system from my computer console, do I want to use the password? And if I say yes, you better copy that password down because you're going to need it to log into the system later on. I can also specify where I want the files installed. So I'm going to go ahead and say check yes, and the system is now installing. And in just a second, we'll see that the installation will be completed. And now the client part is logging into the server part. and now the system is up and running and installed. What it did again was it put a shortcut on my desktop for HiveMINDER right here, and that will launch the client. And it also created a program group right here under my start menu called HiveMINDER. And so, and it also installed a service in Windows, which is the HiveMINDER server, and you can see that that will be set up to auto start because that's what I told it to do. Now that the system is installed, I want to license it, and I do that by clicking on registration, and I want to say activate. And here I will contact HauteSpot Networks, purchase a license for the number of cameras that I want to support, and you can buy camera licenses for 1, 4, 16, 64, or 256 cameras or sources. You can buy both Pro and standard versions. Our standard version has a smaller subset of modules available to it, and we'll show you what those modules are in a minute. Once you've purchased your license, we'll provide you the serial number. You simply input the serial number here, check confirm, and then you would say click, and it would apply the license and activate it. Once you have activated the system, you can check in your menu under information and check on active licenses, and it'll tell you how many activations you have, how many sources you're entitled to, when your last date of free upgrades is. We provide up to 1 year of software updates for free. You can buy additional years of software updates for an additional cost. All right, so now we've configured a camera. I'm going to go ahead and delete this particular camera because we don't need it. And so I'm starting from scratch. This is a clean, unconfigured system with no sources. You can see that it's still out walking the network looking for those ONVIF cameras. I don't have any in the office right now. I'll just simply go down here and hit the plus sign. It'll ask me for what do I want to do. I want to add a new camera manually. And I can say what kind of camera it is. Is it an IP camera? Is it a USB camera? Is it a random camera? And I can just simply say random camera, and it goes out and it searches open cameras that are on a variety of different services like OpenTopia. If it finds one of those cameras, it actually adds it to the system, and you can look at it that way. Conversely, I can just have my USB camera. I can set relative hardware settings for the camera right here in the dialog. And when I'm done making my settings, I just say check, and now the camera's added. What the system actually did was it added a bunch of default modules, and each one of these little boxes is a module. Modules are connected together into what we call a chain. And a chain is exactly what it says. It's a flow chart for processing the video. And it works from left to right. So the first module is the camera and what I'm doing with the camera. The next module is a scheduler. And it says at these certain times. So the default schedule is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I can change when I want schedules to happen. I can put motion detection on the camera. As you can see, there's a bunch of little blocks that are showing motion on the screen. I can completely clear all the motion on the screen, so I can unmark all, say yes, and now you can see no more motion detection is occurring on the screen. I can easily go in and paint detection areas, so let's paint right where my face is. I can say check. And now all of a sudden it's doing detection around my face, but there's no motion detection where my hands are and outside of that area. I can use this to create tripwires, so I can draw lines. I can use that for people counting. I can use it for looking for small objects or large objects. So I basically can paint in a number of different ways. I can say how much motion do I want to check for. I can look for the absence of motion in an area. I can specify the size of the object that I want to search for. I can reduce my brush size. I can make the object very large and say that the object needs to be very large. I can unmark all. Okay. I can auto mark, and I can mark all. And so therefore, I'm looking at everything in the screen. I can do my motion comparisons. I can adjust the sensitivity. I can disregard short motion. I can do pre-recording and post-recording. I can compare motion based on adjacent frames and do frame differentiation. Or I can also look at the background and compare for foreground motion against background. So there's lots of ways that we can do motion detection. And then based on motion detection, I can then put a preview and a record module behind it. This is where I would also name the camera. So we can just call this webcam 1. I can say where I want to store the files. I can say what my refresh interval is for saving. I can say how long I want the archive to save for. I can specify the maximum size of the archive. I can say how much hard disk space I want to allocate. I can have it down-res the resolution. I can have it down-res the image quality for saving. I can have it offload to an SD card. It shows me how much available space I have, and it'll also show me the size of the archive at the current moment. It'll tell me how much space per day I'm going to use, how many total days I'm storing, and the size of all the archives that I have in my system. Right. The other modules that we have here, we have a problem detector, and this actually is a monitor for the camera. It'll look for the absence of problems. It can look for no image coming from a camera. It can look for no sound from a camera. So if I don't have audio on the camera, I can specify the timeout period for when I say that there's no image. I can specify the camera's too dark. I can say that the image is too bright. I can specify what the threshold is for that. I can say whether the camera has been turned. So if I have a camera, I can say what percentage of the image has changed, and it'll do a comparison. I can get alarms when I have no disk space left, when I'm running out of RAM. I can also check via ping network resources. I can set that for different time periods. I can have it check my local database for problems, and I can look for problems that might appear in the log file. And any of these different things will generate errors down here that will appear on my overlay. And then out of that module, I can have it do things like send email. So I can specify the SMTP server, the email addresses that I want to use, and how I want to be able to send email, and whether I want to send attachments of the image, short video clip, audio, etc. All right. Now across the top, we have a number of different modules available. We've already talked about the universal camera. I can also have microphone. So I can just simply click and drag down the module. I place the module in the flow where I want it. It guessed at the wrong location of where I want the microphone to record. I want the microphone to record and feed the alarm. I can tell the audio where to grab audio from and which source, and basically it can then record. I can get rid of the module by dragging it to the top. If I want to do screen capture of my microNVR that the Hive camera is running on, I can simply drag that down. That becomes another source. And again, that can feed into various devices. and I can record the video from the screen. So I can say how fast I want it to record. I can have it down res the size of the image, and it can send me desktop images. So this is useful if I have information that I want to drive off of my laptop or off of my computer. I can capture it, put it on the screen with my camera, and have that sent across the network. Can also have the system read a file. When it reads a file, it can do that based on triggers, and I can specify the path to the file on the computer. Very straightforward. I can also read from another HiveMINDER. So I can put a source down here, and I can specify my HiveMINDER location. I just simply put in the URL, user ID, and password, and I can tell it what resolution I want to grab off of the remote HiveMINDER. I can say what the frame rate is that I want to grab, and it will go ahead and use that as another source. So I can chain my HiveMINDER cameras together, and that's our meshing capability. I can have it be an FTP receiver, and again, I can treat FTP transfers of video files off of cameras that aren't necessarily network aware, aren't on VIF cameras. I can go into an FTP, grab that file, transfer it, and again, I can act on that file within the chain and process it just like I can camera images. I can also do HTTP receive, and again, I can put in a URL for an HTTP source. I can tell it to send me the video, and again, from an HTTP source, I can analyze it and do different things. We've already talked about motion detection. We have PTZ tracking, so if my camera is PTZ enabled, I can have the camera do various things like follow me, and this would be after motion detection, so I can tell it to do object tracking. I can tell it how to track the object, where the moving objects are. I can have it slew to motion and all sorts of other things. That would be our PTZ module. I can do visitor counting, and again, I can put visitor counting right here. After motion detection, I can create a tripwire, and every time somebody crosses the tripwire, I can say how many people have crossed the path. I can write that data to a comment delimited text file, and it will also show up on the screen down here every time somebody passes through my motion area. Again, we have scheduler. We went over that. I can annotate marking and do on-screen overlays. So I can write video. I can position it somewhere. I can do the GPS coordinates if I have a GPS receiver attached. I can do date, time, or I can do custom text. And I can say what the text is. I can put it in a different location, and that will annotate the video either that's going out over the integrated web server, out as an RTSP stream, or is being written to a file. If I have a panmorphic lens on the camera, I can do dewarping. We have various types of dewarping, and I can say where I want the center of the circle for dewarping. I can specify the radius of the circle, and basically I can create flattening of an image using this analytic. We have a button switcher. If your microNVR is, you want to be able to turn it off or turn it on, you can do that with the button switcher. We have daytime detector, and this can be useful for doing light level detection. And basically it just says, is this day or night? And it will allow you to put in the chain rules for things like changing the brightness or the settings of the camera, changing the PTZ settings, etc. HTTP switching, and this is kind of an interesting application. I can actually change URLs that I want the system to provide out and allow the system to basically move from one HTTP server to another depending on what I want it to record. I can do HTTP markup, and again, if I'm creating a web page, I can do marking, I can put information on there, and I can say what do I want it to append to the video before the web page serves it up. We can do relay switching. Again, if I have dry contact relays, I can base that on problem detector, and I can say when there's a signal or not a signal to throw a relay. We have sound detectors, and this would be for the presence or absence of sound, much like you would with motion detection. And I can use this much like a shot spotter or another sound detector. I can say what the sound threshold is. I can then report that out. I can record it, and I can have it take action based on sound that's recorded. So that's a very useful tool. I can rotate the image. That's a very simple rotation. We also have automatic license plate recognition. And so again, I can go in here, detect cars that are on a list, and I can either whitelist cars or not whitelist cars. I can detect any cars, and so I can create known lists. And basically what you're going to want to do with this is configure your camera so that it's pointing at a very narrow area of the screen. And then I'm going to set that location for doing automatic license plate recognition, and it'll only recognize in that particular area. And again, much like I would with motion detection, I can have it read the license plate. Right. We've already gone through problem detector. Unitor is a useful tool for streaming video out. If I have more than one camera that I want to send out, I can actually combine the video signals from multiple cameras. And I can do that either from FTP files, I can do that from HTTP files, I can do that from other cameras, I can do it from another HiveMINDER. So I could put another HiveMINDER out, get the video from that camera or cameras, route them into my Unitar, and what Unitar will do is it combines the two videos into a single stream. And that single stream then, we'll go ahead and delete that connection. I'm going to link these two together. And then we're going to put another preview down here. Grab a preview. Put that right in front of this. And sometimes the system is a little quick on guessing where I want things to be. I'm going to get rid of this preview. And now what it's actually going to do is it's going to combine two videos into one, and it's going to display them side by side, and it's going to composite a single stream. And unfortunately, because I didn't put a HiveMINDER there, let me get rid of that. And I'm going to go back and we'll grab another camera. Grab the camera right here. And I'm just going to make this identical. It's going to be our, well, we'll pick a random camera. How's that? apply that. I'm going to delete the connection, and now we're going to put it into Unitor. Now you can see that it composited the video from a random world camera and my local web camera, and this will be treated as a single stream going out of the system so that I could send that to cell phones, smartphones, or other systems that have limited ability to watch multiple streams at once. So this is a tool for you to be able to reduce bandwidth, reduce overhead, and send a single stream out to users without having to send multiple streams to them. It's kind of a cool tool. All right. I can resize images. That's a pretty straightforward tool. And if I'm resizing, I just say how small do I want, what percentage of the size of the original do I want to show, and it will resize the image for me. Again, I can preview, I can save images to a file, I can send emails, I can send SMS messages, I can route out to a web server. So let's say that I want these both going to a web server instead of going to a preview. And all I've got to do there is set this up as a web server. I can define where I want it to go. So it's going to go on port 10,090. That's our default port. It's going to give me the resolution of the image that I want to show. And I can put a password on it and everything else. And that starts up a web server. I go into Chrome and I go to localhost port 10090. It'll bring up a, and it's not HTTPS, it's HTTP. And now I get the web interface, and it'll start feeding me the stream. And of course, because I'm trying to do too many things here on my laptop at once, I'm trying to record with Camtasia as well as stream with HiveMINDER as well as look at it in my own web browser. It's not working right, so that would be expected. All right, but that's our web interface. We can also send out to RTSP, and oh, because I have too many modules open now, that's a problem. So now I can go ahead and take this to RTSP. And here, the one thing that I have to do is I have to specify a path to FFmpeg because it uses FFmpeg as the encoding mechanism for sending out the streams as H.264 RTSP, which would be an ONVIF compliant stream. So I can make my video that I've composited in HiveMINDER go out as H.264. And in order to do that, I have to set the path, and I'm going to do that right here. HDXE. All right, and now I'm doing RTSP, and I can send this to another VMS, Milestone, ONSSI, Exact, Genetec, one of those systems. And I simply use this RTSP stream URL, URI, to connect, and it will go ahead and allow another VMS to connect to this VMS seamlessly, and that way we can simultaneously record locally as well as send it to a remote VMS server. I can also have HiveMINDER upload to another HiveMINDER using FTP. I can use HTTP. I can sound alarms. I can run applications. I can also send and receive HTTP requests, and I can pop up windows on my local PC. This is basically all the functions that HiveMINDER provides, and you can see it's very flexible. I can change my layout, so I can go into full screen mode. I can go back into windowed mode. I can change the layout depending on how many cameras I have. I can turn off visualization of motion. So if I've got that motion detection happening, I can change my volume. I can turn on tracking. I can change the camera order. I can edit lists of license plates that I'm tracking. And I can do all of that. And this can all be locked down so that users can't modify anything, but they can go ahead and make those changes as a privileged user. How do I give users privileges? Well, that would be under the remote access menu. And I simply go down here to users. And I can create a new user simply by saying add. And I'm going to say Bob. And my password is going to be Bob. And say go. So now I've created Bob. Bob is going to be an operator. And here are the permissions that I give Bob. And I can have very discrete permissions for existing cameras. I can say that he has admin permissions. He can control PTZ. He can export and delete, or he can only view, or I can look at the archive. I can give him administrative permissions. We have lots of different levels of operation, and you can save those users and apply those permissions so that when somebody logs into the system, if they log in as Bob, they'll get viewer permissions. All right, that's simple enough. I can also create connections to other HiveMinders. I do that by just simply saying connect to. We have a demo server, which is hotcloud.hotspot.net. And we have a secret demo password, which is, and I'm not going to show you, which is, if you want the demo, there you go, you already saw it. And now I'm looking at two cameras on the HiveMinder hot cloud. And again, as a client, I'm remotely logged into those. And those cameras are actually coming from Oregon State. They're going to our hot cloud server in Denver, and then those are coming back down here to the office. If I want to connect to my local server and the remote server, I can go into multi-server mode. I can add a server. I can go in here and I can say I want localhost.